Welcome everyone. Welcome to the 12th Sangwa Youth Workshop in Heavenly Asia Pacific. Congratulations for being here. Whether you are online or whether you are in person, it's going to be awesome. I'm sorry that I'm delivering this via video, this welcoming message via video due to my scheduling conflicts, but I will be with you in person very soon. Big shout out to our leaders. God bless you guys. You know, these guys, these wonderful leaders have been working so hard for so many months in preparation for this time. So, wow. Let's give all of our leaders a big round of applause. Come on. And also all of you for showing up, for participating, to be a part of this, because it's the people that make the party, so they say. So thank you so very much. All right, guys, my young brothers and sisters, what do you want? When you think about your experience here, what do you want to experience during your time together in this workshop? Again, whether you're online or in person, what would you like to walk away with at the end? What do you want? Jesus said, "Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find, and knock and it shall be opened unto you." This is to say that whether the answer comes is not the issue. It's whether or not we ask the question. And the first question to ask is, what's the question, right? I want to share a little story with you about a previous workshop. This was a time when I was directing a youth workshop for True Mother in Changpyeong, and I was responsible to direct like over 200 people from over 8 different nations, multiple languages, for 21 days. Now I know that's not as extravagant as the languages that we got here, but that was a pretty big deal, 21 days. Now the outline for the workshop had already been designed. But I asked what intention True Mother had for the participants. The question was simple: what is the objective of this workshop? It honestly seems too simple to even ask. But the truth is, we often forget to ask this question. Many times, a workshop is set, so certain directions are given, objectives may be loosely discussed or maybe inferred because of some big event that we're planning for or something like this. So the education is set, the process is set, but so many times I've experienced we do projects together, and even our most experienced leaders may forget to ask this most fundamental question, which is, well, why, right? What are we actually trying to achieve here? So here I am, I've got to direct this 21-day workshop, one of these global Top Gun workshops, and I wanted to know, what is Mother really seeking for? So I knocked, and the answer came back. The answer I got back was that actually Mother's intention, of course, is to connect to Heavenly Parent and true parents vertically, but ultimately, she really wanted our second gens and our youth to develop deep, God-centered, horizontal connections with one another. And I asked, well, this is interesting. Is this normal? And the explanation that I received was actually, Mother had realized that so many of the first generation over the years had worked so hard and run so fast for the mission that often the horizontal relationships were lacking. Friendships were not always easy to develop or maintain because of the fast pace of the providence, right? And Mother really wanted to correct this. She feels that the environment should be different, right? And, we often talk about getting vertical and we're concerned about our faith. We spend so much time on the first blessing realm. But True Mother was actually equally concerned that we know how to create lifelong horizontal bonds with one another. So I don't know if you knew about it. Did you know that? Did you know that Mother's really thinking that way? So when I tell you this, how does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? In the case of this 21-day workshop that I had to direct in Cheongpyeong, I looked at the proposed outline, the schedule, and I was shocked, really shocked. It was packed with study. I think it was maybe 12 hours plus a day of solid lecture reading, including completing the entire Cheonseongyang, the thick book, right? Within 21 days. You can imagine that there was really not a lot of time left for anything else. Now, I could see that this program was not really going to be congruent with Mother's intention. And I really believe that this problem happens a lot in our movement. Like we're running fast, doing something we think is really valuable, preparing the outline, getting the project. But have we really understood what it is that our true parents are trying to achieve? Sometimes it's a mystery, perhaps even if we ask. But it's not as much about the answer as it is about having the question. And I really had the deep question. For 21 days, I need to, there was even Koreans and Japanese leaders in this workshop. So, I'm just the young guy from America. The truth is I had no idea what I was doing. So at least I had to know why I was doing it. And knowing why I was doing it made everything else so easy. And it was really incredible. So because the program was so different than what I understood Mother's intention to be, we had to make some risky changes. Crazy stuff. Like really radical stuff, Dr. Kittle. We had to include stuff like giving the participants a little time to talk with one another, right? And talk deeply, but also personally and in small groups. And also to problem solve together. And we also added time to this pilgrimage tour following the footsteps of true parents. And it wasn't just about bang, 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 but really about using the time together as we traveled. We went to the sauna together, traveling in the bus together, eating together, playing together, singing together. And spending this time, one story within the story was especially interesting about the Koreans in the group. The Koreans were in their middle 40s, upper 40s, many of them. And they were therefore older than all the other participants. Quite a bit older. So they're older and they're Korean. And they're a little bit shy about, using their English. And so it was interesting because they always kept to, even though we mixed all of the groups, often the Koreans kept to themselves. And every day I was hearing testimony. The first week I was hearing testimonies from all of the participants about how they're trying to break through with the Korean, elder brothers. And one day, one of them figured out how to break through. Because if they tried to speak English, they would, a little bit awkward. But when one of the younger brothers simply went to the Korean elders and asked for something, asked for help about something, or asked for some chips or something, it melted the Koreans' hearts because they were raised and trained to not just get horizontal real easy, right? As elders, they were raised and trained to look out for the youngers and sort of be the responsible ones and, love them if there's the occasion to, but they hadn't yet figured out how to do this. So this one case of this one brother unlocking this secret key to enter into the doorway of the Korean's heart that had been prepared for them, which is, please help me, can you buy me something? This kind of word to the elder, actually, it melts them. And from that one brother, everything just trickled through. Within 3 days of that experience, all of the Koreans, all of the Japanese, all of the Europeans, the Americans, all these different people were so close. Like every team was a tight-knit family unit. Really, the workshop was within each team. And it's like the bigger workshop realm was like the sort of universe around the family. But so much happened within these small teams of sort of 6 to 8 people. And there was every day another story like this. And I understood this was what Mother was looking for. She was longing for us to be able to learn from one another, unlock the secret differences in one another, in each other, which were there, but it wasn't just about finding the problems. It was like growing through learning how to solve those, gaps and problems. So really, this is important. So again, back to our preparation, right? We reduced. How did we achieve this? We reduced the top-down education from like 12 to 16 hours down to 4 or 5 hours. Gave a lot of time for different activities, and the effect was absolutely outstanding. At one point towards the end of the workshop, we had the entire group of over 220 people running around the main lecture hall in the main training center, the big room. I mean, running and stomping. Some were on people's shoulders, some were being bounced around. This massive, like, tribal fest. They were, running and chanting, and the drums were beating, and they're throwing, the whole thing was like, the room was shaking. At one point, the Cheongpyeong staff, because we were like even beyond bedtime, right? When you're supposed to be. This was just the continuation of the last session of the day. And the Cheongpyeong staff had to come in and stop us. But they couldn't even stop us. Like, they couldn't stop. Like, 200 wildebeest stomping around in tribal form. Like, these guys were just out there. But, like, really beautifully centered on God. It was like this camaraderie, this energy, this becoming one, right? So a few days after this, we had the closing ceremony. So this is like the peak of 21 days of, we're praying, we're reading, we're doing all the things we're supposed to do, and it's really the anchor on which everything else can happen. But by investing in these relationships and creating this environment that Mother wanted to create, where the mission doesn't tear you apart, it brings you together, and continually so, right? And so the final day, the closing ceremony, right? This is where it's, everybody's formal. We're now in our suits, and it's like row upon row of soldier-like, organization in the room. Everything's above board. The Korean leaders come in, the IHQ leaders come in. They've got the front 2 rows in the room. Everything's set with their name tags. Everything's formal, just as it should be. And we're about to have our closing ceremony, right? As soon as these leaders start filing in to find their seats, the room erupts, right? Like their hair nearly flies off their head, because out of nowhere, the entire room just jumps out of their seats in some synchronized chanting, some version of what they were doing a few nights earlier, and actually for days. And just to welcome the leaders into the room, right? This was all a welcome. And like the leaders were looking around like, what on earth is going on? I mean, we do a lot of drums in this room. We do a lot of chanting and singing, but this was an energy that I could see on their faces. If they'd ever seen it before, it was like they'd seen it 40 years ago. We were like capturing that spirit, right? And this time it was really, based on this intention that Mother had to strengthen the relationships between these people. That's why no matter who came in, you wouldn't be able to stop them. They were in charge. They were united. They were vertically aligned. But they were in charge with this incredible power, guys. Incredible power that they created through really God-centered give and take, but really the freedom to give and take. So the whole place was shaking. And then after everything was done, Mother invited everyone up to the palace, right? For her, and she bought lunch for everybody. It was actually McDonald's and pizza, because she figured all the Western members were probably, longing for some Western food. But the same thing happened again. When Mother came in the room, everybody, like the loudest roar I've ever heard. And I tell you, I could see the years just like coming off of Mother's face. You know, she looked like a young teenager again, just beaming with joy. Beaming with joy. That's the day. That's the day I realized that if you put a smile on True Parent's face, you are literally putting a smile on the face of God. We have that power. True Mother was super delighted. She heard all the testimonies from the leaders and the members and the participants. She was really excited about this workshop. And so, you know, this was just, a story I wanted to share because I think it's relevant. You know, we're getting our minds ready today for this workshop together. And I think this story is relevant. But also the genesis of the story, which was asking the question. If I had not asked that question, I would have been forced to just kind of like, you know, make the best of what I was given, but I wouldn't really have been the director. I wouldn't have really been the owner, and I wouldn't have been really responsible. And so that's why I want to ask you again, you know, what about you? What about this workshop? What is the purpose for this workshop? You know, briefly, I want to recap because our leaders, okay, have been working hard on this, reflecting and debating, you know, coming up with these 3 objectives, which I think you've already heard. And, you know, these are important to all of us. And I want to just go over them real quick. And I want you to consider, of these objectives, what do they mean to you? What speaks to you? Okay, number 1, growing our hearts through living for the sake of our parents. This is the first objective of this workshop for you. Okay? To grow your heart and to learn how to better grow our hearts, grow ourselves through living for the sake of our parents. Number 2, establishing a loving family centered on Heavenly Parent and True Parents' ideals. And number 3, contributing towards blessed children's holy community through our active involvement and growth. All right, so what do you think? Which one do you feel is the most important for you right now, at this point in your life? And I just want to unpack these a little bit more. So first, growing our heart through living for the sake of our parents. Well, who are our parents? What does that mean? It is our physical parents, it is our true parents, it is our heavenly parent. All of this should really be one. Okay? And so ultimately the attitude of loving our parents and living with our parents' intention in mind daily will make us happier. It will make us grow. It will force us to grow in ways that just doing according to our own thinking, we would never reach. So, if you want to grow, consider your parents' circumstances daily and see what you can do to lighten the load, to be in relationship, to share the reality with them. So think about this throughout this workshop. In what ways you're already doing it and in what ways you can do more. How can we deepen our daily life sharing with our parents, including true parents and heavenly parents? Secondly, establishing a loving family, okay, centering on true parents, heavenly parents' ideals. Okay, many of you might not be thinking about that right now, but maybe some of you are. Certainly it's something that we can prepare for during this workshop for the sake of the future. And thirdly, contributing towards a blessed children's holy community. So important. You matter. Everything about you matters. Literally, no matter who you are, just showing up makes a difference, let alone if you get together with a few others and think of something to do. Get creative. You can't imagine how powerful you are just showing up. To give to your community will help you grow. So please reach for these 3 objectives. Seek and you will find. Make your intention. It will be a more powerful experience for you. Really consider, what do you want from this workshop? What do you want from the sessions? And what will you do as a result of your time together here? And think about Mother. You know, excite her, okay? Surprise her. I know she loves you so much. And yes, of course, it's about Heavenly Parent and true parents. But believe me, Mother wants to see you guys really loving one another, really supporting one another, and unlocking the secret doors in each other's hearts. It's not just about your relationship. For the sake of that person, you are growing too, right? And Mother knows this well, right? So, brothers and sisters, my young brothers and sisters, let us have a great time together. In the meantime, big greeting to you, Dr. Kittle, President Hori, and all of our leaders. And I'll be physically with you in just a few hours. So God bless you. Thank you. Peace.